little bit too warm, maybe, compared to what we've had in the, past few days. Our blood's still kind of thick, but a gorgeous day out here in South Dakota. Well, I'm Rich Rossi, and welcome to the Kurtis Riggs Show. And coming up on the show, we'll be talking to the head coach of the Storm, Kurtis Riggs, and about the games this past weekend in the IFL. And every game from here on out, especially, has ties to the playoffs, because there's only two teams that make it to the playoff, the winner of each conference and also the next team. But in both conferences, there are three teams vying for those two spots. So every week, something's very interesting is going to be happening as far as the playoffs are concerned. And we'll be talking to the Storm head coach about that. Then we'll also talk about the Storm's win up in Green Bay this past weekend, 44-24. And then we'll be talking about some of the things around the Sioux Falls Storm. Injuries have been a big part of the Sioux Falls Storm this season. And 5 wide receivers at one time were out in this early in this season. We're basically in the middle of the season. And we're going to be talking to probably one of the most important people on the staff of the Sioux Falls Storm, and that's going to be Ryan Brink. He is the head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm. We'll be talking to him about the injuries and how they're working through that and his role as the head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm. And then after that, we'll be talking to Jim Loria, and also we'll be getting a scouting report for the Cedar Rapids Titans from the Storm head coach, Kurtis Riggs. That game coming up this Saturday at the Denny Sanford Premier Center at 7:05. And that game will be on KELO AM 1320 and FM 107.9. For the rest of the season, all of the Storm games will be on KELO AM 1320 and FM 107.9. And the Kurtis Riggs Show is proudly presented each and every week by the official Storm medicine providers, Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, the Storm official healthcare team, and the only 5-star rated hospital in Sioux Falls, and also by Orthopedic Institute, the one to trust. When we come back, we'll be talking to the Storm head coach, Kurtis Riggs, and you're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill lately, here's what you're missing. Specialty burgers like the Mac Burger, creamy mac and cheese on top of a bacon burger, and the tastiest wings and handmade pizzas on the east side of Sioux Falls. Haven't spent happy hour at Eastway? Don't miss Twofers Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Deuces Wild Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 6 p.m. $2.75 well drinks and domestic beers. Miss a day at Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill, and you miss a lot.
At Midwest Family Care, we know your healthcare needs are as unique as...
Mom, have you seen my exploding bug zapper?
as each member in your family. That's why we focus on innovative and personalized care that's convenient for you. We offer quality time with our providers, same-day appointments, and even extended hours upon request. Expert care, just when you need it. Choose Midwest Family Care, a division of Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital. For more information, visit sfsh.com.
No matter what you do, getting the job done is what it's all about. And that's where Boyer Trucks and Western Star come in. For 50 years, Western Star has been in the lead when it comes to legendary reliability and toughness. Here in Sioux Falls at 2101 East Benson Road, with extended parts and service hours, Boyer Trucks has been keeping you moving since 1996. Look to Boyer Trucks for diesel engine parts and service for all makes, including Cat, Detroit Diesel, Cummins, and Ford. Boyer Trucks services all Ford vehicles, from the Focus to the mighty F-750. Boyer Trucks, we keep you moving.
Are you looking for that first apartment? Better yet, have the kids moved away and you're ready to downsize and enjoy the freedom of no lawn care, snow removal, or raking the fall leaves? Consider Rod's Property Management with 18 different apartment rental locations to choose from across Sioux Falls with 1, 2, and 3-bedroom options. They offer many different price ranges and amenities to suit anyone's budget. Since the very beginning of 1998, Rod's Property Management has operated on the principle of people first. Check out their property locations and available new apartment openings at rodsproperty.com or call 605-728-5960. Come move in today and stay for a lifetime.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rossi.
And welcome back to the Kurtis Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And the opening interview with the Storm head coach, Kurtis Riggs, is brought to you each and every week by our great friends and longtime sponsors, Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And come see what fresh really is. And they deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls, and their subs are just breader. And that's exactly what they wanted me to say. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtis Riggs. Coach, we'll be talking about the Green Bay game, but it was an uneventful bus trip, but it still is kind of long up and back to Green Bay, Wisconsin, isn't it?
Yeah. It's such a unique way to get there. I can't believe it, it totally boggles my mind. I know we talked a lot about this, that there's not an easier way or a more accessible way to get to Green Bay, but it's pretty cool when you get there. But when you're leaving and going there, you're like, are we really going to an actual city?
Yeah, no kidding, because you're taking all the back roads, really small county roads and that are tarred. And, of course, you get a chance to be up close and personal with some of the local wildlife, as we almost picked off a deer on the way home, and that made things a little bit interesting for a while.
Yeah, that always kind of perks the guys up when that bus starts to hit the brakes like that.
Well, Coach, it was an interesting week around the IFL, and from this point on, every game is so hugely important as far as the playoffs are concerned. There's 3 teams in each conference that are really vying for those 2 playoff spots, and the other teams are doing their best to put a monkey wrench into everything that's going on. And the games that went on this past weekend, Salt Lake Screaming Eagles playing their sister team, and they wound up with a win 38-37, both of those teams with lower end level records. But it was still an interesting game, and Salt Lake comes up with their 3rd win of the year.
Yeah, I think at one point we thought they missed the 2-point conversion and that Colorado had won the game. But yeah, they played each other back to back Monday night, Friday night. But the thing with these 2 teams now is who's going to be able to knock someone off to affect the playoff race in both sides now.
And Colorado is going to be on the radar for the Sioux Falls Storm, as we'll be heading out there after the 2-week homestand that we have. And any things about how Colorado is doing from your perspective?
Rich, I really have not watched them much at all since they beat Wichita Falls. I don't think they've won a game since then. But I watched them that game, and you thought it was a totally different team than what you're seeing by the record now. I mean, they played very hard. Kaiser was all over the place, really had a great game. So, it's one of those things where you're scared because you just don't know if it's a team rallying to try to prove something or if now they're just falling apart as they're getting to this point in the season.
Other games going on, the IFL. Spokane hosted Arizona Rattlers, and the Rattlers came up with the win 49-35 as Spokane loses 2 games in a row, as they had lost to the Sioux Falls Storm the previous week. They also will be having a 3rd matchup because they have split thus far, and they have another game coming up that they will be playing at Spokane. But those 2 teams right now are tied for the 1st spot of the Intense Conference. So that game coming up is going to be huge. And this one that they had, do you know anything about that game, how it went, that Arizona was able to be victorious?
I don't. It sounds like they were able to run the ball very effectively in the second half of that game that really pulled them away. I think Spokane's maybe a little beat up, but it's probably a good thing they have a 3rd game with these 2 teams because, it'd be interesting to see if they continued on the same pace, the tiebreakers that would come into play. But thankfully, they're able to just play it out and decide it that way.
Right now in the Intense Conference, both Arizona and Spokane are 7-4. 2 games back are the Nebraska Danger. Then the other game, other than the Sioux Falls win over Green Bay 44-24, it was Iowa Barnstormers hosting Cedar Rapids. Cedar Rapids with only 1 win in the season, and they take the Barnstormers to the very end of the game. In fact, Stormers going to be playing Cedar Rapids this coming week, so we were very interested in how they were doing, and they took the Barnstormers to basically the final play of the game, and the Barnstormers won 56-54.
Yeah, watching that game, Iowa they just got kind of careless with the football at times, and Cedar Rapids, they did some nice things. They play hard. They play very aggressive defensively, and offensively, Brian Carnes, when he can control his arm, he can be pretty effective. It's just sometimes his arm, it's like he's just got too much juice in that cannon, and he'll really let that thing fly around, and some costly turnovers that really ended up losing the game for them.
Well, it's going to be interesting because the Iowa Barnstormers this week coming up, they're going to be heading down to Wichita Falls to take on the Nighthawks. And those two teams are tied in second spot of the United Conference, both with 9-2 records. Who would a Storm fan cheer for in that ball game?
Oh, I think, we come out happy either way. I mean, because you want one of the two teams to lose.
Right.
I don't think there's I think most people would probably say Wichita Falls because they beat us, but we're going to play them again, and hopefully we'll play better. And I feel like we can control our own fate. These two teams having to play each other is just helping us out by one of them losing. Yeah. But we get to play both teams. So I focus and get more concerned about that than, which of the two do we want? Yeah, it's tough to say. I feel like we win either way on this one, Rich.
And I think you're absolutely right on that. But the Storm plays Wichita Falls in 2 weeks. And then the final game of the regular season, the Storm will be heading down to Des Moines to take on the Iowa Barnstormers. But like we talked last week and other weeks, it's getting interesting. And that's what we want to have within the Indoor Football League. That every game is very meaningful from this point on, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yep, for sure. We talked about that before the Green Bay game, about really taking the perspective now of, as we're getting in these heated races, that every game's a playoff game for us, and try to look at it that way, that this game could be the one that's make or break. So let's go out and don't leave anything to where you're walking off the field thinking I could have gave more.
Well, Coach, we'll talk to you after this break. We'll talk to you about the game up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Sioux Falls Storm victorious up there 44-24. We'll talk about that when we come back. But this opening introduction with the Sioux Falls Storm head coach Kurtis Riggs brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Check it out. Check out what fresh really is, and they deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls, and their subs are just breader. We'll be back with more of the Kurtis Riggs Show after we pause for this time out. You're listening to 98.1 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill lately, here's what you're missing. Specialty burgers like the Mac Burger, creamy mac and cheese on top of a bacon burger, and the tastiest wings and handmade pizzas on the east side of Sioux Falls. Haven't spent happy hour at Eastway? Don't miss Twofers Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Deuces Wild Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 6 p.m. $2.75 well drinks and domestic beer. Today at Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill, and you miss a lot.
Do you know what insurance agency is number one with Sioux Falls Storm fans? It's the Insurance Connection and Auto Owners Insurance. They're a winning combination, and they'll work with you to insure your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, and secure. That's Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit the Insurance Connection in Sioux Falls today at insconnection.com.
At Midwest Family Care, we know your healthcare needs are as unique as...
Mom, have you seen my exploding bug zapper?
as each member in your family. That's why we focus on innovative and personalized care that's convenient for you. We offer quality time with our providers, same-day appointments, and even extended hours upon request. Expert care, just when you need it. Choose Midwest Family Care, a division of Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital. For more information, visit sfsh.com.
The Sheraton Sioux Falls is proud to serve as the official host hotel for all IFL teams this season. With the finest hospitality amenities and spacious guest rooms anywhere in the region, let the Sheraton reserve your next overnight stay, business meeting, or luncheon. When you're making plans to come cheer on the Storm, enjoy our on-site restaurant and lounge before the game, an indoor heated pool and whirlpool for relaxation afterward. To make your reservations today, call 605-331-0100. or go to SheratonSiouxFalls.com.
Scattered thunderstorms redeveloping this evening, and a few of those hanging on overnight. We'll have a low of 64. Southeast wind 10 to 15. Just a slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. Otherwise, partly cloudy, a warm high of 86. South to southwest breeze at 10 to 20. Thunderstorms likely tomorrow night, a low of 57. cooler with showers and thunderstorms Wednesday at a high of 67. From KSFY TV, I'm meteorologist Phil Schreck.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230. Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roski.
And welcome back to the Kurtis Riggs Show, by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge on East 10th Street in Sioux Falls. And they are the official away game viewing party hosts. And they also have Budweiser and Beal Distributing as two other sponsors out there. So next time when there's a Storm away game, it's going to be on June 3rd. The Storm's going to be traveling out to Fort Collins to take on Colorado. Go out to Eastway Lounge and Eastway Bowl and enjoy watching a Storm game with other Storm fans. Also want to have another reminder that starting this week, all Storm games are going to be on our sister station on KELO 1320, KELO News Talk 1320 and 107.9 FM. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtis Riggs. Coach, you go up to Green Bay, Wisconsin. They've been a pesky ball club up there, but you come away with a 20-point win. What's your overall assessment of that game after having a chance to think back and maybe even watch it and evaluate the film?
A lot of penalties.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably thought the same thing calling the game. Those first two drives, I think I couldn't believe how many first downs we gave them because of penalties. And a lot of them were on third and long situations where we helped them out. But, I thought we played well enough to win. I thought we played well enough to look like the better team. But then I felt like we also at times were a little bit sloppy. And, the penalties, a lot of them were ones that were just the crew was calling things very tight and we did not adjust well to it. And we need to do a better job of that. And we didn't have to try to get in a shootout with them. We were able to control the ball and the game got over very quickly. It was done by 9:40. I couldn't believe how quickly the game passed by, but it was a good win though.
Penalties, Storm penalized 12 times for 63 yards. And there were 3 penalties against Green Bay, but there were penalties that were declined during the course of the game. So that's, it doesn't ever have the stat as far as exactly how many were called, but that's how many were accepted. But the Sioux Falls Storm came away victorious 44-24. I have 3 highlights, and we're going to kind of tell a little bit of a story, starting with this highlight.
Second down at about 13 yards to go for the Green Bay Blizzard. Ball's right at the 17-yard line of the Sioux Falls Storm. Bramswig splits to the left side. Deep left is going to be McDonald. Joining him is going to be Willis. 2 in motion, left slot. Back to pass, Barrett. Here's the blitz. They pick it up, but Barrett gets the ball stripped out of his hands on a tackle. And coming up with that tackle was Khalif Mitchell. And he strips the ball out of Barron's hands. It's going to be recovered by the Sioux Falls Storm at the 20-yard line of Green Bay. So for the second time, Sioux Falls Storm strip the ball and get a fumble recovery.
And what I wanted to talk about as far as that was concerned, as far as your defense is concerned, you had 2 turnovers that the Sioux Falls Storm had gotten, 2 fumbles recoveries, and Storm convert that to 14 points. And how important that is for a ball club when you have your defense give you extra or free possessions during the course of a ball game. Tell us about your defense that night.
Well, I thought we brought that mentality that you used to see a lot where it was more of that bend but don't break mentality. Even on that first drive, I thought we gave up a long pass and got them out at the 1-yard line. And then we just would not let them score until finally, when you go on the 4th drive, because of the penalties we continue to have, they're eventually going to get in there. But you could see the rest of the game. It was just that bend. We'll let you work down the field a little bit, but we're not going to break. And then we're going to wait for you to make a mistake, and we're going to pounce on it. We did with 2 of those fumbles.
For the night, Khalif Mitchell had 5 tackles, 3 for loss, a total of 24 yards of loss yardage, 1 broken pass, a forced fumble, and 2 sacks on the night. And Corey Henry also had a sack for the Sioux Falls Storm. Khalif Mitchell that was a big game statistically for him, wasn't it?
I thought he had one of his better games of the season. I thought Khalif really played well and was a dominating force up front.
Here's our next highlight.
Minute to go, third quarter. Storm leading by 10, 27-17. Fourth down, the Storm are going to go for it. Fourth down and a good 3. One through the box, Robbie Rouse fakes the handoff to him. Lorenzo Brown takes it on a draw, dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Lorenzo Brown.
For the Storm that night, you had 6. You scored on all but one possession. You had 6 touchdowns, 1 field goal, 1 missed field goal. You had 5 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. But it was very balanced as far as your ball club was concerned. The stats, basically everybody for rushing and receiving, everything was very balanced, and you spread the wealth around as far as the receivers are concerned. Tell us about your offensive effort up in Green Bay.
We really opened it up and started to throw the ball a lot. I think we got up to 13 pass attempts.
Yeah, all the way.
So, yeah,
all the way up to 13.
It kind of reminded me of the old Houston Oilers, the run and shoot, with Warren Moon, and I thought things are getting crazy here, throwing this many times. But we try to utilize. I don't think what we do with our offense fits, probably the skill sets of some of the receivers we have right now. But they're doing a good job of managing it. And I didn't think we blocked as well as we did the previous week, and I thought we made a few more mistakes than the previous week. But the guys, they play hard. They do a nice job. The line really played well. Zoe and Robbie, for the most part, did a nice job with a lot of our zone game stuff. And we were able to just be effective enough with some of the guys from the outside running across the field.
Here's our next highlight.
It's going to be fourth down and less than a yard to go. Now, the Storm has already gone for it on fourth down in this series. No doubt about Coach Riggs going to go for it again here. And if nothing else, using time off the clock. 5:35 to play first half, 14-7. Lorenzo Brown fakes the option, cuts inside, takes it down to the 5-yard line. Great fake on that option toss, but that's a first down for the Sioux Falls Storm. Lorenzo Brown.
And for the night, the Storm 3 of 3 on fourth down. And like I said, 2 of them were in one series. But both of those fourth down conversions that you had in 2 different series resulted in touchdowns. And that's 14 points that you get out of fourth down conversions that you're able to get. So between your turnovers, you get 14 points after turnovers, and then 14 points off of fourth down conversions. Plus, you're keeping the other team from having the football and scoring the football. 28 of the Sioux Falls Storm's 44 total points basically came from free possessions. And I think that's the mark of a successful team when you do things like that.
We just have confidence that we can get the first down. And if we don't, we have confidence that our defense will come out and get the stop. And I just feel like playing the percentages the majority of the time that we'll get that. Now, it's funny, I usually don't hear from anyone when we get those fourth downs, but when we don't get them, it's usually the time that I hear from people about we shouldn't have gone for it and we shouldn't have tried that. But we have a veteran quarterback. He's made more mistakes this season than probably in the past, but he's still someone that I trust heavily. I feel like he makes a ton of plays. There's going to be some bad with the good, but in crunch situations, he really knows how to handle that pressure.
One thing, the way that I kind of equated this, and that's why I did the highlights as I did as far as this ball game. It's kind of like in baseball. It's playing small ball. Like during the course of this game, the Sioux Falls Storm didn't have any really long passes. They didn't have a pick six returned, a big turnover like that, or a big kick return. But you did things the right way. In baseball, small ball, you get a guy on base, you move him over to second with a sacrifice, maybe get him to third on a fly out, and then get him home on a sacrifice, and you get a score. They call it small ball. So Storm did that, I believe, on Saturday, is that you played small ball, and it was very successful. You did the things that you needed to do successfully, and that results in touchdowns, and it results in points, and it resulted in a victory.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Rich. I think 2 weeks in a row we've done that. I don't think we've had any plays, big hitting plays in the last 2 games. And, Green Bay was they were more willing to let us just work our way down the field, and that's fine with us. We're willing to do that, and we're always going to try to take what the defense gives and not try to press the issue. I think with guys like Corey Williams and Mike Tatum, sometimes you can force yourself to want those easy home runs, and can get yourself in trouble sometimes. Whereas right now we're much more about, let's just work our way down, keep our defense off field so they're fresh, and let's just try to pound it down their throat and get a touchdown.
Well, Coach, congratulations. You got the win. That was the 10th win for the Sioux Falls Storm on the season. And set things up. You have Cedar Rapids coming in this weekend, and we'll be talking about that in more detail. But great win up in Green Bay. Any other final thoughts about the victory up in Wisconsin?
No, I don't mind going up to Green Bay, but I'm not going to miss that trip though either, Rich.
Yeah, it was a haul coming back, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the second time it really kind of wears when you finally get into Sioux Falls. Thank goodness, thank goodness we're done with that. So
anyway, Coach, we'll talk to you after a bit.
All right, thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtis Riggs, and this segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge. Check it out. And next time there's going to be a viewing party. It's going to be on June 3rd. Check out the specials by Budweiser and Beal Distributing. It's more fun to watch Storm football with Storm friends and fans. We'll be back with more of the Kurtis Riggs Show right after this timeout. This is 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN.
Hey, you there, in your car. Let's take a moment to bond with your fellow drivers. Give the driver next to you a big, friendly wave. Go ahead, we'll wait. Now think about the remarkable network of bone, tissue, and joints that just made that ordinary wave an extraordinary occurrence. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. So if you had trouble with any part of that little exercise, we're here to help. Orthopedic Institute. We're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Are you looking for that first apartment? Better yet, have the kids moved away and you're ready to downsize and enjoy the freedom of no lawn care, snow removal, or raking the fall leaves? Consider Rod's Property Management with 18 different apartment rental locations to choose from across Sioux Falls with 1, 2, and 3-bedroom options. They offer many different price ranges and amenities to suit anyone's budget. Since the very beginning of 1998, Rod's Property Management has operated on the principle of people first. Check out their property locations and available new apartment openings at rodsproperty.com or call 605-728-5960. Come move in today and stay for a lifetime.
Moms, dads, listen carefully. Thanks to the Storm's all-new Champion Stay in the Game community initiative, high school seniors can qualify for $1,000 scholarships. And students attending middle and elementary schools can also qualify to possibly win a $500 and $250 education savings bond. In addition, go to SiouxFallsStorm.com to learn how your child's elementary school can attend a home game and take part in the Storm's newly created Educational Activities Program for kindergarten, first, and second grade classrooms. Each student will receive free Storm School backpacks, coloring and reading books, and even a complimentary box of popcorn to enjoy at the Storm game. Thanks to sponsors Billion Nissan, Coleman Heating and Air Conditioning, Lewis Stores, Orthopedic Institute, Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, Spectra Food Services, Sylvan Learning, and Waterbury Heating and Cooling. The Storm organization is proud to partner with many local Sioux Falls schools this year to promote the message that champions do stay in the game to kids of all ages. For more details, go to SiouxFallsStorm.com.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtis Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. And after the interview, we'll be taking the third call at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to the game coming up on Saturday as the Storm hosts the Cedar Rapids Titans. And again, from that game on, all Storm broadcasts will be on Kello News Talk, AM 1320 and FM 107.9. And joining us via the fan line, probably one of the most important staff members of the Sioux Falls Storm at this particular time. And he is the head trainer, Ryan Brink. Ryan, thanks for being on the Kurtis Riggs Show.
Thanks for having me, Rich.
You know, you've been with the Sioux Falls Storm a long time. How many years has it been?
This is actually number 15 for me as the head athletic trainer.
Oh, 15 years. Now, in all those times, you do training, with other schools. You're at Westline. I know that you're over there. You work with Orthopedic Institute. Have you ever seen a team decimated at one position as much as the Sioux Falls Storm has been this year, with 5 wide receivers going down to injuries?
It's definitely a rarity, in having that many injuries, and not only injuries, but injuries that obviously are forcing these guys to miss playing time. And the obviously difficult situation with indoor football is the limited roster space that we have. It's not like you're, a college situation where you may have, 6 or 8 deep at wide receiver. We're typically carrying maybe a couple and, on the 25 man, and that's about it.
And when you look at it, this has really changed things. Coaches had to bring in new players and, change the roster, have a backup quarterback playing wide receiver, change his game plan as far as how do you approach the game. All of those different types of things happen. But your job is not to worry about that. It's your job is to worry about getting these guys back on the field. Now, when you go out and a player is injured and you look at it, let's just say hamstring, in your mind, are you already thinking that's going to be X period of time? Or are you really saying, well, I'm not going to make an opinion on that until I really have a chance to look at it?
I always have to be able to give some sort of an idea as to the possible length of time that it can involve. Whether or not we're going to put the person on injured reserve, which is, a minimum of 2 weeks of time that they're required to miss. So that helps a little bit from a roster spot standpoint. But again, you have to have a little bit of an idea as to how long somebody's going to be out, or do we need to look at bringing somebody in, from a longer term standpoint.
What are some of the indicators of an injury that says that they're unfit to play or they are fit to play from a particular injury? When you have, let's say, a shoulder separation, now do you already have kind of it's already written down, it's going to say, okay, this is the length of time for rehab, probably this is what you're going to have to look for to see when they can come back? Or are there a lot of gray areas that you as the professional make the decision?
Sure. There's always the quote unquote by the book healing time frame that most people with those injuries will go through. Everybody obviously heals at different rates. You guys are, obviously, well trained and well conditioned coming into this. However, it's also they're returning to a more strenuous activity than what the general population is. So There's obviously, a certain criteria of things that we need to be seeing, whether it be range of motion, strength, functional ability. Because obviously the other thing that always is the big roll of the dice is having a sense of being somewhat sure that this person's going to be able to make it through 4 quarters, because we can't, suit somebody up and, first quarter, can't go. Well, we've just burned a roster spot. So kind of our standard rule is you need to be able to be, make it through a Thursday night practice pretty much full go in order to be able to suit for the weekend. The whole, you hear it a lot in NFL or, other sports is, it's a game time decision. And that's a situation that I absolutely don't like. And a lot of that comes down to the fact of the roster restrictions. Hey, we can make a game time decision on somebody if we've got 2 other guys who potentially can play that position.
Right.
In our situation, we don't have that luxury.
Talking with Ryan Brink. He is the head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm in his 15th year as head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm. Ryan, when you're going to evaluate, I listened to you and Paul Kaiser go through a scenario as far as injury and analysis and things like that. How much information, how much of your decision can you garner with a conversation with an injured player rather than the physical touching and the physical mobility and the test that you do that way? How much more information can you get garnering it from the interview rather than the physical exam?
Sure. And that's, and it's really one of those things where your history, the history that you take, whether it be asking questions, observing the injury, again, if you're not in an acute injury situation where, you're seeing them in the clinic or in the training room, and you have time to sit and ask all the various questions, you should be able to pull a huge amount of information from that person and have a pretty good indication as to what's going on with them even before you ever put your hands on them. And again, sure, then what you do with your hands on is what confirms what you may have suspected.
Okay.
But again, you still got to put the hands on and confirm what you may have been thinking along the way. But the history is huge in coming up with an injury evaluation.
Well, I tell you what, it's great to have you a part of the Sioux Falls Storm these many years. You are a true professional when it comes to training, not only the injuries, but also as far as the conditioning that you do as far as the Sioux Falls Storm is concerned. We thank you for all of those types of things. At the end of the game last week, I'd asked Coach Riggs if he knew when some of these players are going to be coming back, and he said yes. And that was all he said. So I'm not even going to ask you those things because I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Sure. Appreciate that.
Okay. So. Very good. Ryan Brink, thanks for being on the Kurtis Riggs Show.
Thanks, Rich.
Head trainer of the Sioux Falls Storm for the past 15 years and just does a fantastic job. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Jim Lauria about a lot of stuff going on. And when we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230 for free tickets, courtesy of Wingstop of Sioux Falls for the game this Saturday against the Cedar Rapids Titans. We'll be back right after this.
Let's all take a moment and get the blood flowing. Don't just sit there. Bend over, touch your toes, do some squat thrusts if that's your thing. Go ahead, we'll wait. Now think about the remarkable network of bone, tissue, and joints that just made that ordinary stretch an extraordinary occurrence. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. So if you had trouble with any part of that little exercise, we're here to help. Orthopedic Institute. We're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
When people think of Uncle Ed's specialty meats, what comes to mind is their 40 different flavors of brats and sausages, like Philly cheesesteak and taco, to name a couple, or their choice of Black Canyon Angus steaks, or maybe their ability to cater any event no matter how large or small. What may not come to mind is their incredible wood-roasted prime rib, hot and ready to go every Friday from 4 to 7. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1 mile east of Walmart on East 10th. Stop out and get educated.
Do you know what insurance agency is number one with Sioux Falls Storm fans? It's the Insurance Connection and Auto Owners Insurance. They're a winning combination, and they'll work with you to insure your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, and secure. That's Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit the Insurance Connection in Sioux Falls today at insconnection.com.
Your house is not only a home for your family, it's also an investment. Now is the time to update your heating system and save up to 50% in energy costs. At Waterbury Heating and Cooling, your local Coleman dealer, we can help increase the value of your home while providing you and your family the comfort they deserve. Coleman units offer the best value and are backed by an industry-leading warranty. Give your home the comfort it deserves with a Waterbury Coleman unit. Call Waterbury Heating and Cooling at 338-2692 to find out more about updating your heating system.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute.
Matt right now is undergoing cancer again. I mean, he's on his 7th battle of lung cancer. And we met today, and he's going to be at the game Saturday. And so we're doing a major fundraiser on his behalf. And the group, just so the fans, the listeners have an idea, the Survive It, it's a nonprofit, as I said, but it's a web-based platform Matt created. And now it's blossomed to the point where this website has been written by thousands of cancer survivors. So it's basically a website written by cancer survivors for cancer patients so that they can research, whatever the disease of cancer it might be. It'll give you information to help you locate the best cancer care, maybe clinic or physician. It's got a lot of faith-based type information in there. And it's an amazing thing. Matt was actually flown to Paris. After our game last year, he was brought up to Paris, and they had heard about this Survive It website. And it was kind of a global symposium, I guess you'd call it. A lot of cancer experts that are fighting it, doctors and all kinds of researchers had Matt come out. He was the keynote speaker.
Oh, my.
To put in perspective. So here's this Sioux Falls resident. He lives here. His whole life's been here. And he found this when he was told he was going to die in 8 weeks originally when he was first diagnosed, about 7 years ago. And here he is. He's every year. I mean, this man keeps coming back and battling through it all, and so it's for him and Survive It. And I would encourage any listeners, if you have a loved one that's battling cancer, try it, look for it. It's called surviveit.org. And so
go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
And Todd's being wonderful. Their logo's on the player jerseys. So the other part of the promotion that we're doing Saturday is the players will be wearing their game jerseys on Saturday will actually be themed to cancer with Survive It on the backs of every jersey. So the players will give their jerseys up at the end of the game. We'll raffle them off, throughout, up through halftime. And then halftime will announce 23 raffle ticket numbers.
Uh-huh.
And if you've got one of 23, come on down because you'll be winning one of the player jerseys right off their backs when the game's over.
Oh, fantastic. Talking to Jim Loria, Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm. All of these things going on this coming Saturday as the Storm taking on the Cedar Rapids Titans. One thing, just wanted to clarify as far as the jersey giveaway and the jersey raffle are two entirely separate things.
Yes, totally.
And the first part, it is a youth jersey. 12 and under will get a free one when they come in the door. 1,000 of those will be given away.
Correct.
And the second one is a jersey that will be a raffle situation. And then those will be given away at the end of the ball game. Is that right?
Yes. We want to make sure that the fans, I know a lot of the loyal supporters are listening. And I know the last one we did, which was on that school district one, it was a spur of a moment decision. And this one here has been on our website. There's a screen slide that's running. It's telling you that the player jerseys are going to be raffled off.
Okay.
And so look for volunteers to sell them the moment you enter the building. And then for little kids, Waterbury and Coleman are going to give you it's a youth replica jersey prior to the game.
Jim, always a lot of great stuff going on at the Sioux Falls Storm games. And thank you so very much for bringing it to us on the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
Thank you, Rich.
He is Jim Loria. What a fantastic job he does with the Sioux Falls Storm. When we come back, we'll have a scouting report of the Cedar Rapids Titans with the head coach, Kurtiss Riggs. And this segment has been brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. We'll take your third call, 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to the game coming up on Saturday against the Cedar Rapids Titans. And this is the Kurtiss Riggs Show on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN.
Moms, dads, this year, the Storm have once again put together the most affordable birthday party anywhere for kids 12 and under. Get this, for parties of 10 or more at any Storm regular season game, your party will receive 10 tickets, 10 Pepsi beverages, and 2 large pizzas for the group to enjoy from Spectra Food Services, plus 10 free single-day admissions to the 2017 Sioux Empire Fair that opens up August 4th, and much more for just $99. You can't beat this deal. Go to SiouxFallsStorm.com for more details. At Midwest Family Care, we know your healthcare needs are as unique as
Mom, have you seen my exploding bug zapper?
as each member in your family. That's why we focus on innovative and personalized care that's convenient for you. We offer quality time with our providers, same-day appointments, and even extended hours upon request. Expert care just when you need it. Choose Midwest Family Care, a division of Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital. For more information, visit sfsh.com.
No matter what you do, getting the job done is what it's all about. And that's where Boyer Trucks and Western Star come in. For 50 years, Western Star has been in the lead when it comes to legendary reliability and toughness. Here in Sioux Falls at 2101 East Benson Road, with extended parts and service hours, Boyer Trucks has been keeping you moving since 1996. Look to Boyer Trucks for diesel engine parts and service for all makes, including Cat, Detroit Diesel, Cummins, and Ford. Boyer Trucks services all Ford vehicles, from the Focus to the mighty F-750. Boyer Trucks, we keep you moving.
The Sheraton Sioux Falls is proud to serve as the official host hotel for all IFL teams this season. With the finest hospitality amenities and spacious guest rooms anywhere in the region, let the Sheraton reserve your next overnight stay, business meeting, or luncheon. When you're making plans to come cheer on the Storm, enjoy our on-site restaurant and lounge before the game, an indoor heated pool and whirlpool for relaxation afterward. To make your reservations today, call 605-331-0100. or go to SheratonSiouxFalls.com.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtis Riggs Show. And this segment is brought to you by the great folks over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs are on 917 South Cliff Avenue. Sliced fresh, baked fresh, made fresh. Come see what fresh really is. And they're the best bread in town. There's no doubt about it. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm. Kurtis Riggs. Coach, you're going to be taking on the Cedar Rapids Titans for the third time this year. Storm victorious in the previous two adventures, but it seems like Cedar Rapids is playing better, or did Iowa not play as well in that tight ball game where Iowa Barnstormers were victorious 56-54 over the Cedar Rapids Titans?
Cedar did some good things and at times look like a team that can play in the league and can compete. And then at times Iowa looked pretty sloppy, playing down a little bit, you might say. But the one thing, just watching more and more film of them, I mean, they play hard. They really do. Especially defensively, they really fly around. They'll reach out and grab you as you're running by them at times, or, they might try for an advantage in certain ways, but their guys really fly around. They get to the football, and coach has got them buying into something.
The head coach, Marvin McNutt, his first year as head coach, all-time leading receiver at the University of Iowa, and huge following of fans as far as Marvin McNutt is concerned, as far as the Iowa Hawkeyes. But, you look at this ball club, you always start at the quarterback as far as what their offense can do. Brian Carnes came out of the University of Northern Iowa, thrown for 1,800 yards. He has 38 touchdowns, but he has 13 interceptions. Tell us about Brian Carnes, how he maneuvers his offense on the field.
Well, he doesn't really run as much as you would think he would. He really relies heavily on his arm, and he'll try to run around and buy a little bit of time. Now, he can run when he needs to, and he's a very good athlete. But a lot of it is pure arm strength. I mean, he really fires the ball in there. They do some nice concepts with their receivers and the combination routes that they have, and they've got some nice receivers too, some guys that can make plays. The run game, not as much. They haven't really relied as heavily on that, mainly on trying to make plays with their passing game.
As far as rushing the football, the quarterback has many more carries than their running back, Jamiel Jones. Jones has only 30 carries. He has about 49 yards of total rushing offense, whereas Carnes has about 166, and both of them have 3 rushing touchdowns. They have some good receivers. They got a big offensive line. What is it?
Do they?
Well,
I'm sorry, were you asking that? Do they? Or?
No, I haven't. I was just, are I was rambling. There's times where I just ramble. As I'm going, I'm trying to think of something to ask, and basically it's not there. So I just keep talking, and I figure something will come. As far as an offensive line, no, they're not that overly big. The Storm's line is much bigger, 6'3", 6'3", 6'6", 330, 300, 300. So it's not really a huge offensive line. As far as the question in there, what's their best attribute as a offense?
Persistence. I think they're just, they keep coming at you. They keep playing. They keep, they'll just keep going. It seems like they've had so many struggles this year. They just don't get deterred by the down moments. So they'll just keep fighting. And I think, that's something that Coach McNutt, I think what he has with the defense is kind of spilling over to the offense in that regard.
As far as that defense is concerned, they've been playing actually pretty well. I think they are about 4th in the IFL as far as points allowed, maybe 5th, about halfway, right down the middle. So their defense is giving them an opportunity to win the Storm, or their offense, the Titan offense, is just not scoring enough points to get the victories. But tell us about that defense, because that's a segment that you've been watching the most film of in these last few days.
Well, it's pretty much like I said. They just play fast and aggressive. They really attack. They rally to the ball. They really excel at their plays because the tiny end zones, it's a distinct advantage for the home team. You're just more accustomed to it, and a very aggressive style defense. You can take more chances because it's difficult to get that ball behind your defense in a small area like that. They played Arizona, right to the very last whistle, to where they had a shot to win that game too at their place.
What's the bottom line for the Storm to be victorious over the Cedar Rapids Titans on Saturday?
Well, I think the biggest nemesis for Cedar is the turnovers, and that's been something we've been very good at this year. So hopefully we can maintain that, continue to force them into the turnovers and get some extra possessions. And it seems like when you pull away, that's when, the mistakes just really start to compile for Cedar Rapids.
Well, that sounds good, Coach. We'll be talking to you on Saturday. It'd be nice to be playing in front of the friendly folks at the Denny Sanford Premier Center again.
Without a doubt. Yeah, it's going to be great to not be on a bus and be at home in front of our fans.
Coach, we'll talk to you on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, and this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Sub. Come see what fresh really is, 917 South Cliff Avenue in Sioux Falls. We'll be back with our final break after we pause for this timeout. This is 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio KWSN.
Hey there. Let's take a moment and see what those legs can do. Don't just sit there. Stand up. Take a little stroll around the room. Go ahead. We'll wait. Now think about the remarkable network of bone tissue and joints that just made that ordinary walk an extraordinary occurrence. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. So if you had trouble with any part of that little exercise, we're here to help. Orthopedic Institute. We're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
We all know that emergencies happen at the most inconvenient times. It's Sunday night and you're relaxing before you start the work week when suddenly your furnace goes out. Luckily, Waterbury Heating and Cooling is here to help you 24/7. We are your local Coleman dealer and will get you back to comfortable in no time. Coleman is known for their dependability and value by saving up to 50% in energy cost. Call Waterbury Heating and Cooling at 338-2692 when emergency strikes, and know that they will be there for you even at the most inconvenient hour.
When people think of Uncle Ed's specialty meats, what comes to mind is their 40 different flavors of brats and sausages, like Philly cheesesteak and taco, to name a couple, or their choice of black candy.
Game one for the auto.
Or maybe their ability to cater any event, no matter how large or small.
Over to the Pittsburgh side.
It is their incredible wood-roasted prime rib, hot and ready to go every Friday from 4 to 7. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1 mile east of Walmart on East 10th. Stop out and get educated.
Storm Nation. It's time to put your game face on and get ready to rock as your Sioux Falls Storm return back home to the Premier Center on Saturday, May 20th to battle the Cedar Rapids Titans at 7:05 p.m. Moms and dads, don't miss this game as the Storm will be giving away 1,000 youth replica jerseys to kids 12 and under in attendance. Compliments of Waterbury Heating and Cooling and Coleman Heating and Air Conditioning. Plus, there's a special Sac Cancer Night fundraiser sponsored by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute.
You're listening to the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Roski.
And welcome back for our final segment, brought to you by Boyer Trucks. And celebrating their 90th year, sales parts service, we keep you going. And they also sponsor the archived Kurtis Riggs Show. If you missed the show, just go ahead and go to the Storm website. You can always pick it up there. Remember, Storm broadcast moving over to KLOAM 1320 and FM 1079 for the rest of the season starting this week. Also want to thank Jim Laurier being on the show along with Ryan Brink and the Storm head coach Kurtis Riggs. Also thank you to John Michaels, our studio producer and engineer. Hope you have a great evening and love to see you at the Storm game coming up on Saturday. But this has been the Kurtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute right here on FM 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Have yourself a great evening, everybody. Good night.